Welcome to my very first Lost Season 4 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important. If you are caught up to the point where I am at rewatching or watching Lost, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, you find that you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And full disclosure, everyone, I've already seen the show Lost in full all the way through three different times. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. I want to rewatch the show and let things resonate a little bit more, but I'm not the only one that's currently watching Lost. The legendary Crazy Coffee Man, who you see in my comment section for Lucifer, Dexter, Breaking Bad, and some physical media videos, is actually watching Lost for the first time. So, join us on the journey and let's discuss this awesome and amazing show. However, I don't want to see spoilers of any kind after this particular episode in the comments section. So with all that said, this will be Lost, Season 4, Episode 1, the Season 4 premiere. The title of this episode is called The Beginning of the End, and this will be my review reaction recap after just finishing watching the episode. We start off with a Jack flash forward. He's mixing a morning cocktail when his eye falls on TV coverage of police in hot pursuit of a speeding motorist in a Camaro, which Jack recognizes. The Camaro is cornered and crashes. The police draw their guns and order the driver out of the car. It's Hurley. He makes a run for it, and when caught, he yells, "Don't you know who I am? I'm one of the Oceanic Six." Hurley is in a police interrogation room where he is shown a video of himself in a convenience store paying at the cash register, and then noticing something, freaking out and running out of the store. As he races out of the store, Hurley ends up in police chase in which he crashed his Camaro. The cop interrogating him reveals that he knew Ana Lucia Cortez, played by the great Michael Cutlass, but Hurley denies knowing her. So he has been on the show before. When Ana Lucia was on the show, they did have Michael Cutlass, I believe, in one other episode. It might have even been two. While Mike is out getting a donut, Hurley sees a vision of Charlie in his hoodie swimming up to a window in the interrogation room, which is underwater, and opening his palm towards the window, which breaks and the water gushes in. On Charlie's hand is written, "They need you." The cop enters the room when Hurley begins screaming and asks if he is trying to get tossed in the nut house because he can arrange it right now. Hurley says, "You can?" and then hugs Michael Cutlass, the cop, thanking him. Hurley, this is back on the island. Hurley stands beside the Dharma van, radioing Jack for an update on the call to the freighter. Jack confirms that he has spoken to the people on the boat and that Naomi's people are on their way to pick them up. Jack winks at Ben after informing an ecstatic Hurley that they are going to meet them by the beach, so Hurley should pack his bags. Hurley runs to the others at the beach to tell them good news. Jack tells Kate if he sees John Locke, he's going to kill him. Jin and Saeed finish collecting guns from the dead others who attacked them, while Juliet digs graves. Jack and the rest of the survivors are preparing to be rescued. Sun expresses her relief at being able to deliver her baby in a hospital. Claire jokes about Sun rubbing it in. Rose joins them. Claire tells Rose that her husband was quite the hero, and Rose tells her that everyone knows Charlie is the real hero and tells Claire to treat him real good when he gets back. So what does real good have to mean? Anything and everything is on the table for Charlie? Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case for Charlie. Still tied to the tree, Ben sees Alex and Carl happily talking and asks Russo to take Alex and flee because he believes that everyone will die. When Ben refers to Alex as his daughter, Russo strikes him viciously, saying, "She's not your daughter." Hurley tells Bernard that he won the lottery, but that it is a curse, or was a curse, much to Bernard's disbelief. However, Hurley figures that since he's been presumed dead in the crash, his money will be all gone, and that he will be free. He decides he wants to do a cannonball dive into the ocean, revealing in his sense of freedom. When Bernard encourages him to do so, when Hurley surfaces from his jump in the ocean, he sees Desmond returning to the beach in the outrigger, and he notices that Charlie is not with him and heads over to investigate, and Desmond tells him he's sorry. So at that moment, Hurley had found out that Charlie had passed or died. Jack and Kate discuss their imminent rescue. Jack says that if he sees John Locke again, he will kill him, like I already iterated. They receive an incoming call on the satellite phone from Minkowski, who says they are having trouble getting a fix on their location and need to change some settings on the phone, and asks for Naomi. Not wanting to reveal that Naomi is dead, Jack tells Minkowski that she is gathering wood. At the same moment, Kate realizes that Naomi's body is gone. Desmond informs everyone that the ship is not what it claims to be. They begin arguing over what to do. Sawyer wants to use the walkie-talkie to warn Jack, but Saeed cautions against it, warning that the freighter people will be monitoring communications. Hurley interrupts when Sawyer starts to argue, grabbing the walkie-talkie out of his hand and throwing it into the ocean, saying that they better get going. Sawyer is amazed but now has to join the others, who grab guns and head off to meet up with Jack and the rest of the survivors. Russo finds a trail of Naomi's blood, which she and Jack prepare to follow. Before they go, Kate tells Jack that she has found a trail of blood and thinks Naomi may be trying to trick them. Jack says that Naomi is injured and isn't thinking about creating dummy trails. He drags Ben along because he doesn't trust him with anyone else. The rest of the survivors leave for the beach. Back to our flash forward, Hurley is in the Santa Rosa Mental Health Institute and apparently happy. He is playing Connect 4 when the orderly tells him he has a visitor. The man introduces himself as Matthew Abaddon and claims that he is an attorney for Oceanic Airlines. He tells Hurley that he and Oceanic want to upgrade him to a nicer institute. Hurley says he's fine, but Abaddon says, "Are you fine, Mr. Reyes? You are in a mental institution." Hurley asks for a business card, and when Abaddon can't produce one, Hurley declines the offer. Abaddon turns much more serious and asks, "Are they still alive?" Hurley is startled and makes a scene claiming the man is after him, and Abaddon quietly leaves. Hurley falls behind, and Sawyer drops back to offer his help. They're on their way to meet up with Jack. He offers to talk about the loss of Charlie, but Hurley is unwilling. Hurley loses sight of the other survivors as he gets lost chasing after them. He comes across a rundown cabin in a clearing. Hurley hears whispers, and a light appears in the cabin's window. Jack, Russo, and Ben reach the end of what they realize is a dummy trail after all, and Jack discovers that the phone is missing. Ben says that he saw Kate take the phone while hugging Jack, but decided not to say anything because he owed Jack one. Meanwhile, Kate heads into the jungle to find Naomi on her own. She received a call on the satellite phone, and the caller asks to speak to Naomi. It's Minkowski again, so Kate abruptly hangs up. She notices blood dripping from above, and Naomi jumps onto her from an overhanging tree limb. Naomi holds a knife to Kate's throat and demands the phone. Kate tries to convince her the attack was John Locke's doing. The phone rings and Naomi speaks to George, telling him she has been injured, but says she sustained her injuries while she parachuted onto the island. She changes the tracking frequency of the phone, apologizes to George, and then ends with, "Tell my sister I love her," and then Naomi dies, watched by a shocked Kate. Approaching Warily, Hurley looks through a broken window and sees a man in a rocking chair. A figure suddenly moves in front of the window and an eye appears. Spooked, Hurley trips over himself and runs away from the cabin. A moment later, the cabin is somehow in front of him again, but at a different location. He closes his eyes and tries to convince himself that the cabin is just an hallucination. When he opens his eyes, the cabin is gone. He falls on his back into a pit, and John Locke appears and greets him. "Hello, Hugo." Later, they talk and agree that Jack should not have called the ship. He says it will be hard to tell everyone that there is no rescue. Locke says they will just have to otherwise. Charlie will have died for nothing. They head off into the jungle to meet with the group at the beach. Saeed begins to argue with John Locke, especially about why he blew up the submarine. Just as Locke is about to respond, they hear noises. The group from the radio tower has arrived. People hug, and the reunion is excited and warm. Claire stands alone with Aaron looking for Charlie. Desmond starts to go towards her, but Hurley stops her and says he'll tell her. Hurley approaches Claire with a miserable look on his face and breaks down as he tells her that Charlie is dead. They try to console one another. Then back to our flash forward. Hurley sits in the grounds of the hospital when Lewis comes over and says a man is staring at him. He looks over to see Charlie. Hurley is shocked and refuses to have an imaginary conversation with the dead man. Charlie slaps him, telling him that he is really there, but he is indeed dead. Hurley asks whether Charlie knew he was going to die out there and why he didn't tell him. Charlie says because he would have tried to stop him. He says Hurley has to do something that he had been hiding from, the same reason he ran out of the convenience store. Hurley says he doesn't want to hear anymore and closes his eyes and counts to 5. Charlie tells him, "Don't do this," and then they need you. They need you, Hugo. When Hurley opens his eyes, Charlie, the ghost, is gone. Jack goes up to John Locke, knocks him to the ground, accuses him of destroying their one hope of rescue. He grabs Locke's pistol. Locke says Jack won't shoot, as he himself wasn't able to, but Jack pulls the trigger. It has no bullets. Jack begins to beat Locke and has to be stopped by the other survivors. Locke tells everyone that they need to trust him and that the freighter people are dangerous, and that he intends to go back to the others' barracks since it's the most defensible place on the island. He asks them to join him, saying, "If you want to live, you need to come with me." Kind of like the Star Wars, if you come with me if you want to live. Jack counters that Locke is insane. The only crazy people would follow him, and that Locke always attempted to prevent their rescue. Kate arrives and announces that Naomi's dead and that they're on their way. Hurley makes an impassioned plea and says he is listening to Charlie. He says that he trusts Charlie's message and joins Locke, followed by Claire, Rousseau, Ben, after sarcastically asking Jack's permission, Carl, Alex, and to Kate's surprise, Sawyer. Kate asks Sawyer what he is doing. He says he's doing the same thing he's always done, surviving. Rose and Bernard still wish to stay on the island but don't trust Locke enough to join his group. Locke and his group leave in a tropical downpour. Back to our flash forward. Jack visits Hurley in the asylum and plays a game of horse. It's basketball with him. The two discuss their current day fame, and Jack mentions he's thinking of growing a beard. Hurley is glad to see him but wonders why he came. Jack, after losing a few shots to Hurley, asks if he is going to tell. Hurley doesn't respond. Jack decides to leave and grabs his coat. Hurley says he's sorry he went with Locke and he should have gone with Jack instead, which Jack waves away. Hurley wonders if they should go back to the island and says it will do whatever it takes to bring them back. Jack says he will never go back to the island, to which Hurley replies, "Never say never, dude," as Jack leaves. Jack, back to our current time period, Jack says it feels like a few hundred years ago that they came out of the cockpit. They reminisce about Charlie and their first trek together, while Jack wonders how did this happen. They hear a noise which Kate initially mistakes for thunder, but which becomes clearer as the sound of a helicopter. They move into a clearing as the spotlight shines down on them. They see a helicopter above, flying somewhat radically. Someone drops from the helicopter. They run towards it and see a parachutist. The parachutist, who goes by, not in this episode, but his name is Daniel Faraday, removes his helmet and says, "Are you Jack?" And that's what ends this episode of Lost in the season 4 premiere. So pretty good stuff. 8.5 out of 10. Obviously, Hurley, Hugo Reyes, is my character of the episode, and my secondary character of the episode is Jack Shephard. So you've heard everything that I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Lost and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you Hulk smash the like button, share the video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode of Lost. What would you rate it, and who would be your character or characters of the episode? Remember, you'll be interacting with me and also the legendary Crazy Coffee Man if you choose to do so. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel. Help me reach 100,000 subscribers. Join the team, share your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDEV TV.